right? And I hope that I'll have rather transparent and unbiased answers from all of you. Okay, so my very first question, let me start with Sandeep sir. I disturb your tricky.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so sir, you represent best of both the worlds, right? There's the US part of it and there's the India part of it. Very obvious question. What's the skill gap that you see between the two countries in terms of the manpower that we get? Now, I don't want a direct comparison, but very specific qualities that you feel that are present there, are not here, and something that we can improve. So, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Thank you for the opening question. A good question, but I want to say, first of all, I'm still trying to digest my water, by the way. And you are all awake, right? Yeah. Oh, good. I want to start this way. If somebody had asked me this particular question 25 years ago, where India is and where US is, I would have said, and I would have bet, that India is going to grow and will become one of the largest aviation marketplace. Same time, I also work heavily in China, and I helped a similar program in China. I wouldn't have thought China would leapfrog India at that speed. Come today, and we are almost the third largest aviation marketplace. As per the GDP, we are almost there at number 3. But the exciting part is this, as Vaibhav said. So what are the differences? I think India doesn't need just only pilots and engineers that we probably focus more on. The exciting part is that it needs thousands of other professionals. The areas that are not kind of glamorous. And those professions are like the people who can build systems. I think you can feel the difference what I'm going to come on to, right? You don't see a big aeroplane or jetliner that you can proudly say it belongs to India. We need people, they are more into technology, people who can lead global partnerships, solve very complex operational problems, and create the ecosystem of the future. So that's the difference I sometimes find. Within our own network, our own feeling, I think we are doing great. We are growing fast, probably one of the fastest, if not the least, aviation economies of the world. But the talent that I just described, the changes that is happening, that's probably we need to continue to work on. Thank you.
Very well answered, sir, and I do agree with the fact that we have put a little bit too much focus on pilots and cabin crews. And I think I've had some discussions at the Ministry of Labour and Employment, and they were telling that we have a big time vacuum in terms of the other spectrum of the career options that are there, particularly the design part that you mentioned. Coming to it, I have next question because we have sir from GMR. You sit at a very unique intersection, sir, right, Subramaniam sir? GMR is as much as into industry as it is into training, right? So you know your needs much better than anybody else does. What is it you see in terms of your training capacity that GMR as an academy does, what it can do better, and where are we headed, both in terms of industry and the academy as well?
I know I answer this question right away. My name is Swaminathan
Subramanian. Retired as an Executive Director Administration. I have been a GM HR training for the Airports Authority. So I know the AAI more than I know the GMR, with who I've been there for the last 1 year. I'm basically an air traffic controller. So I've also been the officiating GM airspace management, and I've implemented the flexible use of airspace in India. So I also was a part of the permanent mission of India and ICAO. So that's how it goes. And somebody was talking about my experience in aviation or something like 40 years. It's about 62 years, and that's my age, because I crawled on a runway, learned bicycling on the runway. My father was working in an airport. So the strange association. Some of you may think it is nepotism, perhaps it is not. There are a lot of wards of staff who end up doing a good job out there. Okay, so I want to go back to the previous question and just make a mention. You know, you're talking about skills. Most of the occupational standards, the AASSC or the Aviation and Aerospace Sector Skill Council was also working on national occupational standards. In fact, at one point in time, we had to say many of the job roles in aviation have international occupational standards. So you have Annex 1, which deals with the personal licensing, and it very, very clearly details how a pilot should be trained, how a cabin crew should be trained, an air traffic controller should be trained, a radio telephony operator should be trained, and so on and so forth. And I think slowly even the ATSCP, which is the Safety Electronics Professional, how they have to be trained also seems to be based on competency-based training nowadays. So I mean, for everything you've got a manual, you've got a document of the International Civil Aviation. So there is no change in the standards. In fact, even ICAO follows this no country left behind. So I think all the countries are just as good as one another, and they can't be anything other than what the standards and recommended practices, entail them to do. Having said that, there is a company called Metron, which makes the air traffic flow management system, and they are the global leader. The ATFM system of Metron is installed in USA, it's installed in South Africa, Australia, several countries across the world, the top world countries. The coding for Metron is done out of a Chennai-based company. So the difference between US and India is appetite to have, the businesses running. We don't have that. This morning there were several panels who were talking about standardization of training, and that isn't happening either. There's a lot of mushrooming of the training establishment, and nobody wants to standardize. We typically want to teach people what we know than what they ought to learn. So we don't have the standardized training package or the trainer methodologies, and that's probably where GMR Aviation Academy has an advantage. Now, coming back to the other question that you asked regarding GMR itself, I mean, it's doing exceedingly well in terms of the airport management. It is into MRO, different businesses, and including the training business, and it wants to make an effort to standardize training. It is succeeding in standardizing a good amount of training, including the BCAS mandated aviation security training, or the DGCA mandated DGR training, which is a cargo training. But that's about. Whereas when it comes to so many other professions that even Mr. Bar was making a mention of, other than the mainstream aviators, there is no much standardization taking place, but we are making a very, very sincere attempt to standardize these training programs, so that even if we do a certificate course in airport operations or airline operation, it is aligned to ICAO, to IATA, to ACI, and CANSO. So we are trying our very best to do that.
Thank you so much, sir, for that perspective. Talking about, GMR is airport construction, I have my next question directed to Baba, sir, right here. And I'm glad that I have apologized in advance if I ask you any difficult questions. Right? So I have a little tricky question. You're free to leave it if you want. But we have airport constructions, we have airports coming up at much faster rate compared to the growth in the training sector that we have, and that's a very visible gap. A little bit of that gap does come from government policies as well. To sort of cite the recent development, airport passes have become a big problem, right? And therein you go with the problems that if a AV has to train on a live aircraft and it doesn't have an airport pass, how are we going to upgrade them? So how do you see this collision between the government is set up, I mean, of course, if the government has come with a scheme, it would be of some logic. How do we catch up with the so-called business and infrastructure development versus the skill gap that we currently have, both due to the lack of possibly good training academies and the government regulations in place?
Right. First of all, I am not.
Hello, it's working?
Yeah.
Right. First of all, I am not in the habit of skipping questions because I strongly believe there is nothing which comes to your mind and that has a solution in this universe. When the question comes to the universe and we are connected, if we are connected with the universe, the solutions lie there. So that will put me in the confidence. Now, before answering your question, let me understand the exact question. You are asking me the problems of airport entry passes and the crisis with that?
That's a part of the crisis. It's part of the crisis,
right.
because it's very simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, first, our title is Aviation's Next Decade, Opportunity, Challenges and Workforce Reality, right? We have grown with this pass system in a big way, right? Maybe I would have somewhere a airport entry pass which is just like a school classroom entry pass which used to be issued, and maybe I would have that somewhere in 1980s. Then we have progressed with that in various modes, and as on date it's very high tech, it is full of safety. And the threat perspective of India is entirely different from all over the world. We are in a different perspective. So that aspect is needed to be addressed. Second is that now we are in the era of digitization. And if anything is revolutionized digitization is the facial recognition. And if we are not introducing that facial recognition in the bottleneck area, which you have highlighted just one, there are many such areas like the staff is genuine or not, staff is on duty or not. I remember there used to be time when you are crossing from operational area into the apron area, you are used to be signed in a register. Yes, I am entering and I am on duty. Because off duty also I can enter because I am having a pass 24/7 with me. So like that. But nowadays there is an automatic thing, etc. But yes, we need to further augment that with the digitization. Okay. Now, anything else you want?
The second part of the question.
What is that?
The infrastructure growth, according to me, is exceeding the training.
Right. Now, infrastructure growth, we always talking. Other day I was visiting your stalls over there. So everybody is giving his own number of aircraft by year this and year that, and they add the years without correlating the every year how many aircraft are going and how many people are needed. So there are some statistics that we are going to get 1,500 aircraft, and then we are going to get by this year, and then we are only calculating on the pilot's part. People think that's the reason sometimes I use the phrase top heavy. We are top heavy management system because the people who are at the top, they think that my job is over, I can just order the aircraft. And ordering the aircraft, they get the cheers. And they are playing for the cheers. Like you go to the cricket and cheer girls are very pretty and they make the cheer happy. The same with the CEO said, I have ordered 100 aircraft, I have done 100, another say I got 400, and they get the cheers. But what happens? The cheers get lost when the aircraft land here. You can buy the aircraft, but you cannot buy the men who are going to run. We can build the airports, but airport doesn't fly the aircraft.
Correct.
Airport and runways facilitate the flying of the aircraft. They don't fly. Who fly? People fly, right? So when people fly, where are they? You know, when your heart vein gets blocked, you get the heart attack. In aviation, the heart attacks come only when the aircraft land and you don't have a manpower to man that. And what is that heart line which gets clogged? The pipeline of producing the people. Our institutions are doing a lot of very good training. But they think that my job is only to train the people for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, or 1 year, whatever the length. After that, there is no hand holding.
Yeah.
They are not bothered whether the people I have trained, they have got a good job or not. They are surviving or sustainable or not. On the other hand, the people who have brought the aircraft, they want the people to do the duty next day. They hire the staff and they feel that they are well trained because they come from a very good institution and they are supposed to work tomorrow. They don't think that they need to be tropicalized for your environment. They need to be hand holding, and then the gap starts building. And when the gap starts building and the people who have got lot of aspiration who are sitting here, I am very happy that here both, all the three sides are sitting here. Students are sitting, trainers are sitting, and even the recruiters are also sitting. So recruiters feel that the institutions are not giving any training, and institutions say that they are not respecting the people. And now what is the problem of the people who get the job? No, they think that they come for a gig job. People say the airports is providing the gig job, but the students feel that they have come for a gig job, and they feel that my job is, from the day one they start posting on the Instagram, I am employed here, I am doing this, that, and they get the cheers on the Instagram. You have not come for that. You have come to perform an activity which is highly disciplined, which is highly sensitive, and you do that. So then student must learn that am I working from day one, or I am working from day 1000. We have lived in the corporate. We have lived in the organization which is surviving even today. How many organizations, airlines have come and go? Air India is still there because it has got a lifespan. We are not building such airlines. So student, now, if time is short, wait. You see the students, they must listen that they are, if they are happy, lucky, they get a job. They should think that they should establish a ladder in that organization to progress higher. If you are not doing a ladder for yourself, you will fall flat one day. So from day one, you think, where will be I after 3 years? You will have to plan, you have to progress, and then you have to. So after 3 years, you must plan from the day one. And if I have answered your question, okay.
I think it's well answered. And talking about the next part, I have Amit sir with me, so I would like to direct my next question to Amit sir. You come from a very niche background, that's aircraft financing and leasing, if I'm not wrong. Tell me one thing, and it's a continuation of what we were speaking before. How do we sensitize children, job seekers, recruiters especially, on the niche areas in aviation? For example, aviation law being one of them. I have a lot of lawyers who will be sitting outside of Saket Court. I see them with the typewriter and they're still struggling to find a space. Whereas aviation does need good lawyers. And I mean, our lease contracts, you know how it works, right? Banks are not giving loans to companies that come up with business plans in aviation. So how do you sensitize the next generation, especially people who are seeking jobs or looking for opportunities, into the niche sectors of aviation?
Yeah, so when we talk about niche sectors in aviation, of course financing is a very niche sector in itself, and Indian banks have yet to come up to that stage that they can do aircraft financing. But when we talk about financing, two parts of financing are already taking place in India. I have been involved with the Bank of Baroda as aviation banker, and we did financing for Indigo Airline and Air India, working capital loan. So one part of the financing is working capital loan, which banks are gradually picking up the idea that airlines, as other sectors of the industry, airlines also need working capital loan, project loan, expansion loans. So when the students are working, doing MBA finance or finance related portion studies, one of the areas they can focus is aviation financing, because that is one area which is going to grow up. And NBFCs and banks are gradually warming up to the ideas of financing on airports as well. Because airports like Jewar Airport, Navi Mumbai, or even brownfield airports, they need project financing or other kinds of financing for renovation, expansion and all those. So that is one area which students can concentrate on. Other areas which I think is a big way that cyber security in aviation is a big area. What is happening is that with so much of travel internationally, domestically, and so much of threat perception in the aviation industry, one is the cyber security within the ecosystem. Airlines, airports, they need cyber security that so that their systems are intact. Second is that the cyber security on the consumer side. When we talk about payment systems or passengers buying tickets, going to the payment gateways, there are many things which cyber security analysts can work with the airlines or airports or concession agreement people who are having the concession agreements. Those people need these kind of experts because the volume is going up. There is humongous growth in the air traffic and passengers. Although there are cyclical ups and downs, but in the long run, the passenger traffic will obviously go up, and the cargo volume will also grow. And there also B2B cyber security is required. The third area which is very important is I've been a production engineer myself, and I came to aviation. Prior to aviation, I was in the automobile industry, automobile industry. We used to work with Maruti Udyog. See, the thing is that now final assembly lines are coming in India. Tata has already got 2 projects, the C295 project with Airbus in Gujarat. They have rolled out the first aircraft. And the second is the H125 Airbus helicopter project. India, traditionally, aerospace, aeronautical engineering was kind of a branch of engineering which was never thought as a serious job option because there was no manufacturing happening in India. Most of the people who graduated out of aeronautical, they went to IT industry because that was the biggest employer, or at the most they would have gone to HAL or ISRO. But now since the private sector is opening up to finite assembly lines, and Adani's have also tied up with Leonardo helicopters, this is one area which will open up gradually, and most of the people will be required there in production, in planning, in management, because that is one very niche area. And then we also talk about advanced air mobility. I am an expert advisor with an organization called SANAM, which is an international advisory for advanced air mobility. And I created Asia's first leasing platform for advanced air mobility. And eVTOLs, advanced air mobility are going to come. Archer Aviation is one company which has tied up for 300 aircraft with Indigo Airlines. And their vertiports is something which is going to come up. And eVTOLs are going to come up. Already 4 or 5 Indian companies are working on advanced air mobility. And there also requirement of people will be there. Because when we talk about aviation carriers, most of the people in most of the conferences, events and fraternity talk about pilots, engineers or ground handling or those kind of, but these are the 4 or 5 areas which I have mentioned are gradually coming up and will be giving much more job options to people rather than just principal pilots, engineers and all those things.
So, thank you, sir. I mean, I have a takeaway from your answer that typically aeronautical aerospace engineering was not taken seriously in the past. I, being an aeronautical engineer myself, I pretty much agree with your analysis. I have one final question to all the panelists in this panel. As you know, the topic that we have is aviation's next decade, opportunities, challenges, and workforce reality. I have a very basic and fundamental question. Training institutes come next. Right? The major change, or at least the decision-making factor, happens at the school level. Right? What do you think the school education system can do better to contribute to this particular industry? I'll start with Subramanian sir, and then with Sandeep sir, and so on. I want a very honest, unfiltered answer. What can we do at the base level? And then I open the forum for questions and answers.
I'll just share an experience. Try to be brief. 2013, I was sent to Montreal. I was still working over Delhi. And there was a panel which was working on the gold document. And the gold document basically talks about the control of pilot data and communication, the phrases which are to be used, which can be hidden, and so on and so forth. So a US team with almost about Tom Craft was heading that, and about 7 or 8 people there, including psychologists. I mean, they really come together as a what should I say, diverse team together. And we were 2 of us from here. I was only in the advisory role. I was not even a panel member. And as the discussions were progressing, at some point in time, I thought that something was wrong. I mean, I thought I should point out the mistake in the presentation. But I didn't pick up the courage to speak. So I waited for 10 minutes, and there was an Australian panel member after that who put his hand up and said that there is, go back to that slide and there was a mistake there. And then again, after some time, another 10 minutes, there was another error that I wanted to point out. I didn't pick up courage, and then there was a newsletter who said that, and I said, okay, this is it. And the third time onwards, I think I had about 20 errors through the day, and one of the members from NAV Canada came and told me that Mr. Swaminathan, you can probably teach the native speakers some English, because I was also talking about connotation, denotation. I happen to study philosophy out of interest as an air traffic controller, 9UD and JD. So I'll come back where we have this problem in the schools. In our schools, the teachers simply ask us to shut up. Don't ask silly questions. My father has told me that. Ex-British Navy, and he would tell me, like, don't ask me silly questions.
I'm sure all fathers have said that.
Yeah, so what can the schools really do? And one of the fundamental problems even today for people, everybody is on squawk 7600, which is radio communication failure for the uninitiated. People don't speak. In aviation, if you don't communicate, everybody talks about safety. And if you don't communicate, if you find something, if there's a fire on the tail of an aircraft and you find it, but you're afraid of communicating it, then the safety is not ensured.
True.
So I think one of the fundamental problems is communication and the courage to communicate. And the schools can do well to do that, number one. The second thing that I want the schools to really do is that the schools, the training establishments literally train you on something based on a training need analysis. For every job, there is a requirement, so they do a TNA and then they train people. But then what really happens is people come with certain meta skills. I mean, one fine morning in Trivandrum, I come for a morning duty and somebody tells me that there was a Sri Lankan flight which was flying between Madras those days and Colombo. It had multiple failures, electrical failures, and finally it made a landing, emergency landing in Trivandrum. And so I asked the senior most officer, everything was okay? And he said yes. Then I asked him, the night duty was Mr. Joe Thomas on duty. They said yes. Some people come with those meta skills. Please look up, I don't want to take more time. The Scotland government has come up with a beautiful meta skills framework, which is, starts with critical thinking, focus, communication, 16 odd meta skills in their framework that they have listed. The schools can do well to ensure their students learn meta skills. I studied physics, except statics and dynamics, and to some extent electricity, magnetism and electromagnetism. There was nothing that I did apply in my job as an air traffic controller. So we study something, we do something else, but at least the schools can do well in developing the students and then ensure that they come with real good meta skills. That is something the school curriculum can achieve. I think that will be a great thing. I stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swaminathan sir. I think 2 things that we take away from here: instilling confidence, and second is identifying the meta skills. Rather encourage the skills that they will actually use later on in their life. Sandeep sir, what's your take on this?
Swaminathan has really put the right momentum onto this topic.